Hello students, welcome to the answer writing program. So today we will be discussing 3 questions from GS1 Modern India, and the topic is early nationalism to India independence. Let's take an overview of all the 3 questions. So the very first question is related to some factors, international and the domestic factors, that led to the revolutionaries activities resurgence in India after 1920. So this is the first question. Second question is about Indian Council Act of 1861, and the third question is related to the constructive program during NCM non-cooperation movement and CDM civil disobedience movement. Okay, so starting with the very first question, it says that both the domestic and the international factors contributed to the resurgence of the revolutionary activities in India after 1920. Elucidate. So the keyword is elucidate, means we need to clarify it. We need to substantiate with respect to the examples as well. So the question is saying that there were the revolutionary activities going on, but in 1920, British government has suppressed these revolutionary activities. So there was a decline of the revolutionary activities in India. But after 1920s, some domestic factors, some international factors were there that led to the re-emergence or resurgence of revolutionary activities in India after 1920s as well. So we need to define those domestic and international factors. Okay. Starting with the introduction, what you can write in the introduction? You can set some narrative over here that whatever we have discussed, that the British government in 1920, after the World War I or during this, they have suppressed the revolutionary activities, but later on, some factors led to the resurgence of the revolutionary activities after 1920s in India. You can set the narrative, you can write the context in what this question have been asked, or you can write about the definition of the revolutionary leaders, that who were they, how were they dissatisfied with the passive resistance of the leaders who were prevailing at that particular time, and they need to overhaul the system, or they need some revolution, and they took the path of some violence. So they believed in the violent means, as they deemed the passive resistance is insufficient for the nationalist goals. So you can write about the definition of the revolutionaries in introduction. Okay, so coming to the main body part, that what were the domestic factors, and the second body part would be what were the international factors that led to the resurgence of the revolutionary activities in India. So the starting with the very first is about the passage of the Montfort-Chelmsford reform. We also say this as the Government of India Act 1919. So the British government has come up with the Government of India Act 1990 for the constitutional reforms, or for the Indian reforms, to set the responsible government in India. But the results or the outcomes of this particular reforms were not according to the struggler or the freedom leaders in India at that particular time. So they were dissatisfied with the outcomes of this particular law. Second thing, during this agreement, the British government has released the number of revolutionaries under the general amnesty, so that this Montfort-Chelmsford reforms is to be facilitated. Now, what is general amnesty? So this general amnesty is about the general pardon that is given by the government to the people who were imprisoned under the political offences. Okay. So there were the outcomes were not according to the leaders, the Indian leaders. Second, there were the number of revolutionaries who were imprisoned before this. Now they are in the open areas, or they are ready to fight again. Next is about the failure of NCM. Mahatma Gandhi has started the non-cooperation movement, but the sudden withdrawal or the sudden abruption in the non-cooperation movement has led to question, means these revolutionaries were questioning the strategies behind these leaders, and what were their vision behind this abruptly withdrawal of the NCM. So there were the disillusionment amongst the leaders of the revolution, revolutionaries. So there were the disillusionment with the non-violent strategies after the withdrawal of NCM. You can quote some names also like Jogesh Chandra Chatterjee, Surya Sen, Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Chandrasekhar Azad, Shiv Verma, Bhagwati Charan Vohra, Jaideep Kapoor and Jatin Das. They all participated in NCM, but sudden withdrawal by Mahatma Gandhi has led these revolutionaries into the disillusionment. So they took the path again for the violent means. Next is about the inability of the existing leadership to inspire. The younger nationalists who were ready to join the national freedom struggle, they were not attracted to the parliamentary works of the Swarajist and the constructive works of the No Changers. So they were drawn to the idea that the violent means are the only method to get the freedom struggle, to get the freedom from this British yoke. Next is about the role of press and the journals that have praised to the maximum of these revolutionaries. There were the journals that published the memoirs of these revolutionaries. They were the articles that praised or extolled the self-sacrifices of the revolutionaries. So there was the wave of the sacrifices of the of the praises of these revolutionaries amongst the masses through these journals and the press. So this has inspired the sense of revolutionary nationalism which was never seen before. So again, these all are the factors, the domestic factors that have led to the re-emergence or the resurgence of nationalist revolutionary activities in India. You can quote some examples of the important journals of that particular period. This is very important for the prelims point of view also. Like Atmashakti, Sarthi, Bijoli, and some government has banned some revolutionary novels like Bandi Jeevan by Sachin Sanyal, Pathet Dabi by Sharad Chandra Chatterjee. So you can quote these examples, this and this. Okay, moving on to the international factors. So what were the international factors that led to the emergence of the revolutionary activities in India after 1920? So the international scenario. The very first is about the revolution in Europe. So the revolutions were there across the Europe in the late 1910s and early 1920s that served these revolutionaries in India as an inspiration that if they can do that, this is the international scenario that we can replicate this also. Like you can quote some example over here that in Bulgaria many troops mutinied and the Bulgarian Tsar has stepped down. Next is about the mass strikes and the mutinies occurred in Austria-Hungary and the Habsburg monarchy collapsed. So this have put the inspiration on the Indian revolutionaries leaders to take the revolutionary activities in this nationalist path. Next is about Russian Revolution in 1917. The success of the young Soviet state, how they were consolidating themselves. So this has fueled the belief in the mass scale violent methods against the British yoke. Next is about the working class movement. The rise of the working class trade unionism post World War I. So this have provided the revolutionaries to harness the potential of these new emerging of this new emerging working class for this revolutionary activities. Next is about philosophy of communism and socialism. Again, newly sprouting communist groups were emerging. So there were the emphasis on the Marxism, socialism and proletariat justified the methods of revolutionaries. Okay. So this way you can write the international factors in the main body part. Coming on to the conclusion, you can write about the summary that although they have failed to attain the freedom from the British rule, but these revolutionaries of 1920s have inspired the masses. They have restored the pride in the generation through their courage, sacrifice, anti-imperialistic ideology. So this way you can conclude your answer. Okay, let's take an overview of this model answer, starting with the revolutionaries, the definition, who were the leaders, then major domestic factors aiding in the resurgence of the revolutionary activities, then international factor, then finally concluding the answer. Moving on to the second question. The second question says that Indian Council Act of 1861 have failed to meet the aspirations of Indian nationalists. So this is the context set that 1861 Indian Council Act has failed to meet the aspirations of Indian nationalists. So this is the implicit demand of this particular question because this is not directly asked, you can take this context and write the major provisions of the Indian Council Act of 1861. Then only we can tell that how they have failed to meet the aspirations of the Indian nationalists, and we can fulfill this demand of the second part, that what were the limitations of the act. So once we will write the major provisions, then we can write about the limitations. So this is the demand of the question. This is the explicit demand. This is the implicit demand. Starting with the introduction, you can write about the context, that you can set the narrative that 1857 mutiny uprising or the revolt happened. After that, this mutiny of 1857 has raised the serious concerns within the British government about the stability and the governance of India. So they have come up with the new act to tackle the issues amongst the Indian public. So the purpose was to provide the Indians with the platform in the legislative bodies and initiate some degree of the legislative devolution. So you can write about the purpose, you can write about the narrative. Coming on to the body part, you can write about the major provisions followed by the limitations of this particular act. Major provisions. So the very first thing is that they have expanded the size and the authority of the legislative councils in Madras and Bombay. But they have not granted the elected representation to the Indian public. So what they had done, they had just increases the size and the authority for the British officials in this legislative councils. Like, these members were nominated by the government, ensuring that the British officials dominated these councils. So they have increased the size, they have increased the authority, but they have not given the elected representation to the Indians. But they have nominated, maximum they have nominated from their side, so that this legislative councils can be dominated by the British officials. First thing. Second thing is, they have accepted this proposal that the non-officials can be British, some of the non-officials can be British. So they have accepted this principle, allowing the Indians to participate. But this eligibility criteria the standards of the eligibility criteria was very high. So there were the very limited concessions. So there were the limited franchise, allowing only certain classes of the people for the nominations as well. Like, the majority of the Indians remains excluded from this political process because the standards, the eligibility qualifications were very high. So only few Indians can participate, majorly dominated by the Britishers. Next is about the major provision, is about the centralization of power. The power is consolidated in the British hand. They have established the Viceroy and its council, the Executive Council. So, which entirely consisted of the British officials. They have accepted some of the Indians in the legislative councils, but in the Executive Council, means whosoever is taking the final decisions, whosoever is implementing the laws, etc. So this is Britishers only. Not even a single Indian was there in the Executive Council of Viceroy in 1861. Okay, so this centralization aimed to give the British government more direct control over the administration. Next is about the control of legislation. Although there was authority with the legislative councils to pass the law, but this Viceroy or the Governor General with its Executive Council can overrule this law. Next is about the portfolio system. So it was majorly the foundation of the cabinet government, with each administrative branch having the official head. Like for the railways, railway minister is there. Like this is the portfolio system. So they were responsible for its administration. So these are the major provisions of Indian Council Act of 1861. Moving on to the limitations. So whatever the provisions are, like in the very first thing, very limited Indian were there in the Legislative Council. No Indian was there in the Executive Council of the Viceroy. So this way you can write the limitations of this particular act. So there was a limited Indian representation, like the only few political leaders like Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, Krishnodas Pal, N.L. Nulkar and the Ras Bihari Ghosh were nominated. So you can write this thing. But their ulterior motive was to represent, although they intended to represent the Indian public, but the council had the very few Indian members and did not effectively serve their purpose. This act was majorly come so as to prevent the future uprising of 1857 that has already been happened. So not to be replicated, not new uprising like this 1857 revolt can be replicated in futures. That is why this 1861 was there, just to console people that yes, we are there for you, we are allowing you to govern yourself. But the ulterior motive was not that, just to no uprising should be there in the future. This was the major motive. But rest, they tried to ameliorate, or they tried to lure the Indian people by forming legislative councils, executive council via this act. Next is about the lack of important powers. Although the legislative councils were there, executive council was there, but the councils could not discuss the significant matters or the financial issues without the government approval, limited their role to advisory. It means the legislative councils cannot discuss the significant matter of the financial issues. Next is about the viceroy's overrule. Again, we have discussed that the viceroy can overrule the legislative council's decisions with its executive council if they deemed necessary, given the British government a degree of control over the legislative decisions. Okay. Moving on to the conclusion, you can write about the result or the impact of this 1861 Act. So this was the watershed movement. Despite the limitations in this act has marked the significant step in the Indian constitutional and the political history. So this has sowed the seed of the democracy. Means the Indians can also be nominated as well as elected. Indians can choose the Indians for their governance. So this has sown the seed of democracy, representative democracy in India. So this way you can write the outcome, result or the impact of 1861 Indian Council Act of 1861. Let's see the model answer, starting with some background, then major provisions, then limitations, and finally conclusion. Okay. Moving on to the third question. Bring out the constructive programs of Mahatma Gandhi during non-cooperation movement, NCM and CDM. So we need to just list down or write down, and you can also write the various impacts. What are the various impacts of this constructive programs by Mahatma Gandhi? So starting with the introduction, you can write the description of what were the constructive programs. So these are the social works initiatives led by Mahatma Gandhi. You can also write some aim, that for what purpose they have come up during the Mahatma Gandhi's period. So for this you must understand that Mahatma Gandhi's strategy was struggle, truce, then struggle. It means this is the time for doing the satyagrahas, the protests, the strikes, etc. in the non-violent methods. But again, in between two struggle period, there should be the time of rest. But this is rest from the struggle. But in this particular time, he was doing the constructive programs so as to deepen the roots of Swaraj, so that the methods that are taking place in the struggle time, that should be ingrained in the public. That the public should be very well aware that how to take these non-violent methods, so that the people should understand the training, the various methods, that how to comprehend what exactly Mahatma Gandhi was trying to ingrain into the public. So these are the constructive programs, social works initiative launched by Mahatma Gandhi during the inactive phases of the freedom struggle. For what purpose? So to keep the morale high of the public, widen the meaning of Swaraj and prepare for the next phase of struggle. So this was his purpose behind this constructive programs or the social initiatives. Moving on to the body part, that what were the components of these constructive programs? Starting with the very first is about the establishment of the Satyagraha Sabhas. So these are made from the members of the Home Rule Leagues, and these are organized before the NCM started, and it has combined the strike methods with the fasting and praying. Next is about the promotion of Khadi and the village industries. So to is encourage the spinning wheel, khadi bhandars and the boycott of the foreign cloth. So what its relevance was, like Mahatma Gandhi tried to ingrain the self-sufficiency, independence from the imports. So this was his like self sustainability. So this spinning of the wheel was the symbol of self sustainability and doing the hard work along with the getting knowledge day by day. Next is about emphasis on the Hindu Muslim unity. He has promoted through messaging and the symbolism in the ashrams. Then he has worked with respect to the Dalits untouchability. Then working upon through the engagement with the lower caste, different tribes, like you can quote some examples related to the Bardoli Satyagrah, how he has exemplified that he is trying to remove the untouchability from the society. Next is about the promotion of new education. So new education is Nai Talim or the new education. So this Gandhian concept of education was focused on nature, society and crafts as a medium of learning. Like he emphasized the total personality development of the body, mind and spirit with the methods like education in the mother tongue along with the handicraft work. Again, the education for lifetime. One should not stop getting or attaining the knowledge. He should continue his work along with the knowledge, along with the attaining the knowledge. And the work that is doing, that should be dependent on the locality needs. Like the work should be linked with the most useful vocational needs of the locality. Okay. Next is about the upliftment of the women. The Gandhi aimed to involve women, farmers, laborers and the students in the freedom struggle through his constructive programs. So you can write about these components of the constructive programs. Moving on with how this constructive programs have played a role in the freedom struggle. So they have boosted the morale of the people because there were the struggle time, there were the truce time and again there is a struggle time. So that the people should not get demotivated that what we are going to do next or why we are sitting just without doing anything. So this was boosting the morale. Again, it also provides the ground support. So the volunteers promoting the Khadi, they have provided the groundwork and support during the CDM. Then it is expanding the reach of the national freedom struggle amongst the masses, even at the last nook and corner of India. So this constructive works broke the caste, class barriers, expanding the national movement social basis. Okay. Moving on to the conclusion, you can write about the significance or the summary in this particular answer that this constructive program has led to the formation of the cadre system. Example, they have prepared a cadre for the freedom struggle and served as a training ground. Then social basis expansion, like we have already discussed, that it has expanded through all the barriers of the class and the castes, contributing to the success of the CDM. Okay, and setting the ground for the national freedom struggle. So let's take an overview of the model answers, starting with the definition of what are the constructive programs, then the different constructive programs and how they have played the role. Finally, conclusion. Okay, so this was the discussion from my side for today. Thank you and have a nice day and keep writing.